Coach, just overall, what do you think you guys were successful in after the Jalen penalty on that final drive where you guys were able to kind of hold them, especially inside? And really, I think you guys held them a couple times kind of inside that 20-yard line. What are you guys able to do successfully in those plays?
I think it really has a lot to do with just our mentality. You know, I mean, even the play that they scored on, I mean, I'm sitting there like going, I don't even think the guy signaled it was a touchdown. I think they announced it was a touchdown, it seemed like to me. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think the guy got across there, but whatever. I mean, we just teach our kids that we're not going to surrender 1 point, period. It's a mentality. And we just know that when the ball gets in that part of the field, we tighten up, you know, inside the red zone. You know, I think I'm not really for sure the exact field position, but I know one time after one of the turnovers, it was on the 23. Yeah, on the 23. It seemed like once was on the 26. So we had 5 opportunities down there in the red zone. We had 2 fourth down stops, 2 forced field goals. So we hit 80% in the red zone. You heard me talking about last week, you know, our blueprints, the red zone scoring defense, and we hit 80%, our goal is 60%, so I thought that was really good. Well, obviously it was the difference in the game.
In terms of, you know, inside the 20s was good, but it seemed like long drives were kind of an issue. Like,
yeah,
where did that come down?
I mean, we've defended 12 fourth downs in 2 weeks. I mean, we're giving up, I guess it's a sign of progress. We're giving up just slightly over 3.5 yards of play, and everybody's critiquing us. I mean, it's like whatever. I mean, we give up 3 yards of play, run and pass. I mean, that's second to Iowa State, I think, in this league. I mean, so I think we're doing some really good things. I mean, we're making people earn it. I mean, it's nickel and dime, you know. People are having a rough time getting behind us. We're forcing the ball to be thrown in front, and then when they do, we're coming up there and we're tackling physically. Because at the end of the day, you know, I mean, it's about they got to get that ball into the end zone and score points, and that's the thing I'm most proud of. We could be sitting here talking about the ball flying over our head, you know what I'm saying? And so we're not talking about that, and our tackling is good right now, and we just got to continue to improve in every facet, obviously.
Coach, you have 2 games under your belt. How do you feel like the unit as a whole, with just all the new guys on defense, is just gelling out this?
Yeah, we're getting closer. I mean, I think you didn't see some of the just blatant mistakes that you saw in game 1, so that was a positive. So I think just learning, you know, to communicate with each other and you know, just developing that, you know, who's that unit going to be. You know, we're rotating. I think we're playing like 20-something people, it seems like. We're playing a bunch of people, trying to develop depth, trying to create that, you know, throughout the course of a long season. So I like where we are. Obviously, we're not satisfied with, you know, where we are. We want to continue to improve, and there's a lot of room for improvement. I mean, there really is. I mean, you know, you look at third down. We've dominated third downs in two games in a row. We hit our goal 70. We hit 76% the other night on third down. They averaged 1.1 yard per rush. They had 32 carries for 29 yards. I mean, so, you know, that's kind of difficult to improve on. But, you know, I still think we can become a lot better than what we are.
How much of that depth kind of that you're talking about kind of shine through, especially in the secondary unit? Because it seemed like, you know, there's been some bumps and bruises in that
Yeah.
unit.
Well, I mean, that was the other thing, too. I mean, they're in the second half. I mean, we're playing without 3. Fry was out, Monroe was out, Rabbit was out. So there was a lot of moving parts with that. But that's where I'm just so proud. I mean, that's why you have to have depth. I mean, that's just a part of the game. Injuries are part of the game, and you just gotta be the next man up mentality, and that's kind of where we are right now.
Coach, what's your first thoughts after watching the tape on FIU?
Yeah, they're very athletic. They got a quarterback that's got a strong arm, very accurate throwing the deep ball. They got 3 receivers, actually, that I think one will be coming back this week. He hasn't played in the first 2 games. He was probably their best receiver a year ago. And then they've really had a couple. I mean, they got 2 receivers averaging 21 yards a catch. That's going to lead the country a lot of years. And then, you know, they got about 3 or 4 running backs that they rotate in. They're big and athletic up front. They got a freshman tight end that's extremely athletic. So I think I like them. I mean, they're they had 3 costly turnovers last week that basically cost them, big time, because I think maybe all 3 of them came in the red zone, going in to score, if I'm not mistaken. I think they got a quality team, and obviously they're well coached.
When they're rotating running backs like that, then what does it show about what Devontae Price has been able to do, that he's one of the leading rushers in America while working in that?
Yeah, I mean, he's 6'2", 215 pounds. He's a downhill runner. So I'm looking forward to it. He's the caliber of back that we're going to see in this league. All of them really are. I mean, I like it. So it's a good challenge for us to see, see if we're everything that we think we're cracked up to be. And it's a great test, heading into conference play. So I'm ready. We're ready.
What did you think of how Dadrian performed the other night when he was kind of pressed into duty?
Yeah, I thought, other than friendly fire, I mean, he comes down there, he's screaming downhill, but he's hitting our players, and I mean, but man, he's fast, and explosive, and he just keeps playing with more and more confidence. We just got to keep him on the field and keep him healthy. But I was very pleased with the way he came in, and really, he's a better matchup with those little, small, quick receivers. We got kind of big defensive backs, and the matchup sometimes on those guys are a challenge. But when we put Rabbit in there, we kind of leveled the boat a little bit.
Has this team met or exceeded your expectations from the beginning of this year?
They'll never meet my expectation. But I mean, and it's not a surprise to me. I mean, I've watched them work. I've watched them put in time in studying what we do. I've watched them through spring football, watched them, work all summer long. So, and in fall camp, the mentality that they have, the willingness to let us coach them and continue to push them no matter how much success. Every time we win, I just coach them that much harder. Okay, it's just keep winning, then it's just going to be that much harder.
And by doing this, it's going to help them become better for conference?
Yeah, I mean, and they know it's never good enough. I mean, as soon as you clear that height, we just move it up 2 inches. And as soon as you clear that, then we'll just move it up. And then eventually the bar's way up there.
Jumping back to that last drive on defense, and Jalen Hutchings, makes that penalty on 3rd down, and then comes down and has those big plays there towards the goal line. What can you say about his mental fortitude to go from something like that to the plays that he made?
Yeah, he knew he better make some plays after that. I mean, because I just told him in the TV timeout, I said, look at that, look at the down and distance. They got no chance of converting this. Next play, he ripped his helmet off, and he knew that, oh boy. I told him I was very proud of him. I mean, that was, he pretty much just single-handedly said, man, I can't be the reason that, it's what he told me on Sunday. He said, I can't be the reason that, they end up taking this ball down and scoring. So, man, he just cranked it up. It just shows you, I mean, like, when you set your mind to something, you can do far more than what you really think you can.
Got time for 2 more. And bouncing off that, what does that do for your team going from a game where you have to have sort of that 4th and goal type stop going into the rest of the season?
I just look back to a year ago and just trace it all the way through the first 2 games this year. It's kind of becoming a habit. I mean, you look at the Kansas game a year ago, I mean, our kids, I mean, our backs were against the wall the whole day, it felt like. And then you go back to the West Virginia game, we scoop and score, knock down a Hail Mary into the end zone to stop them 6 out of the last whatever many possessions of the game against West Virginia. You look at the Baylor game, same type deal, make some huge stops. And I think 4 out of the last 5 series of the game we win. So it's starting to become an expectation.
Coach, just obviously the first 2 turnovers of the year for Tyler. What's kind of your assessment of each one?
Yeah, I think the first one's just a miscommunication, in terms of a route conversion with Eric. And then the second one, he's just got to drive the football more, see the single high safety sitting in the middle of the field and progress off to the outside receiver who was, the corner was overlapping the inside seam. And he's got to drive the football or come off of it to the outside guy. So, and those are mistakes that he sees and knows, and we've got to correct.
And then for y'all, obviously, I guess time of possession at times has something to do with it. How do you get into that flow to where maybe, obviously, you start out fast in the first quarter, but then it kind of slowed down for a little bit? How do you get that full first half?
Yeah, I think that just getting first downs. I think that's what we need to focus on is the routine play, getting first downs, and that allows us to get into a rhythm. Keeps our offense on the field, keeps our defense off the field. It has been a funny season thus far in 2 games as far as time of possession and plays. A lot of it this game had to do with our inability to execute, on third downs early on. The turnover really hurt us, and against a tough defense like that and a team that is fighting, if you let them hang around, then that's the type of game you're going to be in. And so for us, the biggest thing is getting first downs. I mean, I've been pleased with our explosive plays, but we just got to have more of them and more plays.
Obviously, some of it will get fixed when you get more plays, but do you feel like you consciously need to tell Tyler, hey, look at other guys, or are you comfortable with the amount of targets Easy's getting, or would you like to just naturally maybe force a little bit more spreading of the ball?
Yeah, you like to get other guys involved, but it's hard not to, to put the ball in Eric's hands. I mean, he's such a dominant player, and 50-50 balls he's been very successful on this year. And I think with the amount of plays that you would have in a game being greater, which we hope for this week, you're able to spread the ball a little bit more. And then also the way our running backs are running, they're doing a great job in the run game. But obviously, yes, we got to get other guys. We got to get other guys targets and other guys involved.
How has this early season adversity helped your team as it approaches Big 12 play and it approaches tougher teams?
Yeah, I think we'll find out. I think that you're put in situations through practice, and then also now whenever the live bullets are flying, you're put in situations, and that's what I talk to our guys about is how we learn from it will dictate what we're doing week 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I think our guys have really learned a lot. And these, if you look at Houston, I think they're a really good defense. You look at SFA, they've got a really good players on their defensive side, and they played really hard. Scheme-wise, they did a great job. And so I wouldn't take anything away from them. And obviously our road is going to get tougher in the Big 12 with conference opponents. And I think our play, and I know that our play will elevate, as we get going through the conference season.
What percentage of the playbook have actually been shown,
Yeah.
Is it 10%, 15%, or, is there more that hasn't even been developed yet?
Yeah, there's always kind of, you try to, keep the end game in mind in terms of plays and setting things up and how you're developing things and how you're introducing things to the players. And then also, with running 50 plays a game, you don't get a chance to get that deep into it. And so I think we've got some things that I feel good about that our players have executed in practice, and then you continually evolve. And as the season goes on, you try to set things up. And so I think that you'll definitely see a little bit more of that as we get going throughout the season.
What can you say about Taj's performances the first 2 weeks, and is he earning himself more carries and more designated plays as he plays well?
Yeah, I think that, really for both Taj and Xavier, I talked to our team about it, the consistency of both of those guys, and every day, weight room, strength conditioning, practice, they're the same players in terms of how they approach things, and you see that carry over in terms of the consistency of their performance. And so, again, like with getting touches for Eric, it's hard to take the ball out of 28 hands. It's hard to take the ball out of 14's hand, and it's just being able to find ways to get them touches. And they've been really consistent, gotten tough yards, and had explosive plays. So we want to try to continue to do that. And then when you add, hopefully at some point, you add SaRodorick back into that mix, you're going to have some guys that can make some plays.
And how would you grade your offensive line's performance overall this past week?
I thought they did better. I think that what we saw up front was a lot of movement. I don't know if you've watched it or not, in depth, but they were not just standing still and some cans. I mean, they were moving, they were slanting, and we'll continue to see that until we, have a better answer for it, and I think that we will. But I think in the run game, anytime you run the ball effectively, it's a direct result of your running backs and your offensive line.
How hard is it to adjust when you come into a season thinking, okay, this guy's going to be our bell cow running back, and then you miss a couple games, and another guy not only performs, but performs so well? How hard is it to adjust then going forward? Be like, okay, well, I had this plan, but now you kind of have adjust maybe carries and touches and plays that guys get.
Yeah, it's always a balancing act in terms of the running backs, and again with the receivers, the tight ends, of getting those guys targets, getting those guys throws, and so for me, I've only known the guys that I've played with since I've been here. I've seen SaRodorick on film, and I've got a pretty decent idea of what he can do. But once we get him back and going full speed, I'm excited about the possibility with all those guys and being able to get them on the field at the same time.
You mentioned first downs being a big key to getting a better start this week. What else is there really that you guys are working on to hopefully have a better outcome?
Yeah, I think drive starters are always a big deal for us. To get a drive off to a good start. And then also for us, the negative plays again. And you look back to the first quarter, we go and we score, and it was a great throw and catch and individual effort, with Eric, and then really Kalen Geiger on the block. The second series, we have a chance for an explosive play on a scramble drill that probably puts you in position where you're on the plus 30. The third series, we throw a pick six. The fourth series, we drop a ball in the midst of our drive that's an explosive play. And so those are the things that we've got to make. And to me, those are focus things that, for whatever reason, our attention to detail and focus wasn't quite at the level that it needed to be Saturday night.
Got time for about two more.
Who'd you say, who threw the key blocks that y'all saw on Taj's big run and on Xavier's big 2-yard run?
The big run for Taj, it was a 5-man box. They blitz off the edge. The offensive line did a nice job of, with their out calls, working up to the Mike backer. So I think really those guys, 5 guys up front, and then Taj really kind of took it from the house from there. And you see Kalen Geiger, show up again on the perimeter in terms of his block, and then with Xavier as the offensive line and the tight end. In terms of the key blocks for that. And those guys, as far as the backs, to have great patience and great vision to set those things up. And then once they see a crease, obviously explode through it.
The adrenaline, the energy, being on the home side again, was it what you thought it was going to be? Was it did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a really to be back in a game day environment like that, with pregame. Obviously, I've seen videos of Big Shaq Diesel. It seemed like they had it going on over there, and that was awesome. We had a lot of excitement. You could feel the energy that our fan base had, and the turnout was awesome. I hope it is again this Saturday, and it was a lot of fun.